What is up, everybody? I am Jeff Lund, and this is the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast, where we are intolerant of weak-minded attitudes that keep people from pursuing new and exciting things in the areas of fitness, outdoors, and general lifestyle. Today's episode is brought to you by LMT, the Live Mentally Tough lifestyle that is about extracting the most from life rather than making excuses and then figuring out later that you spent so much of your time whining and not getting after it. My guest today is Kevin Manabat, a good friend of mine, owns Ketchikan CrossFit. He has a little bit of a fear of public speaking, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this podcast before he knows we're recording. And he'll be fine, I'm sure. That is all coming up. Episode 12, Mediocre Alaskan Podcast. Here we go.
Cast?
We should do that. That'd be sweet.
They're not live, are they?
What's
not
that?
until you publish them.
No, it's not live.
Okay.
Like people can. It's not like live streaming. But
Do you fix them up? Do you cut them up and chop them? No, you just leave it full.
The coolest thing about it is that it's just like it's a different type of reporting. You know? Like when you write the story, it's you take a whole bunch of words and you provide some context, but you kind of describe it through. But the thing about podcast, it's
Conversation.
Yeah, it's like people talking, which is cool. See, like you're kind of a shy dude, right? In certain contexts. Like you have like charisma and whatnot. That's why people like to come to the gym, right? For you,
yeah.
So as a charismatic, articulate dude, you struggle with talking to a lot of people.
That's funny though, right?
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
I deal with them all the time. I'm shy. I'm more shy when it's not like something in my realm, like the way we are on right now. Yeah,
try to
for
be
sure.
subtle.
That's cool. Yeah, for sure.
Ease into it there a little bit. Yeah.
Well, with the gym stuff, that's easy because I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I could talk about it all day, but when I'm outside of my element, it's a little different. Public speaking was never my forte.
Yeah.
And I look at this as I'm talking to millions and millions of I don't know, listeners.
Accidental people. Yeah.
Will I ever see them? No, it's cool. So this is a little easier, It's not like making our LMT commercials where I'm having a hard time with that.
We try to reduce everything down. It's got to be like the perfect 8 seconds, 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So you can only really say it right once. You can't kind of think about it in your head and go. But that's one of the things you see as people who just show up at the gym, that vulnerability. It's not necessarily in their realm. So you coach people out of that so much. But that's part of it. Like you're not going to be good at things when you start off.
No.
And it's that total ironic, hypocritical whatever. Like you can be I can coach you out of it, but I can't speak myself, or it's difficult. Like I can talk in front of kids, no problem, all day. 20, 25 people, whatever. Adults sometimes, like it is different. Like
adults are a little different.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah. It got easier.
Yeah.
After I first started, it was just as hard as talking to a microphone the very first time I did it.
Yeah.
I remember just sweating bullets, dude.
Yeah.
I could vividly remember yours too. Like I was like, all right, had a physical therapist in your group. And I was like, oh shoot, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything. I'm on the spot. I had a couple times. It's pretty funny because I'll go walk over there and turn the fan on. Just like while I'm walking away, just to wipe the sweat coming down my brow. But yeah, I mean, just like you said, once you start doing it a couple more times, you get better at it. But I was even just beginning to coach anybody, personal training, just sweating bullets.
Yeah.
It's like, don't look at me. I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous for you. I'm nervous for myself. Okay.
Yeah. It's hard to suck at first.
Yeah.
It's hard because you're putting yourself out there and like, what if I'm not good? What if this doesn't take? When I started fly fishing, and after about a month, I was like, no, this is stupid. I'm going to quit because this sucks. I'm terrible at it. I can't cast. I can't do anything right. And I was about, pretty close to quit. I finally caught a fish. But I think that's so much, especially as an adult. You try out as a kid in high school, you don't make the team, you make the team, whatever, you have an experience. But as an adult, it's so much easier I don't really want to push myself out because I've gained some sort of comfort to be vulnerable and to be awful at something. It's not fun.
That's not fun to fail.
No.
But I think that, like you said, that being vulnerable, that's so hard. Like, you want to be your authentic self in front of everybody, but you want to also not be judged, and you want people to accept you and love you for who you are. And so when I get these new folks in here, that's what they are. They're very vulnerable. But what I think what draws people to this gym and makes them come back continuously and day in, day out is that they can fail here, and it's okay. People are like, "Hey, I'm with you. That was me last year, or that was me yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, you got stronger legs than I do.
Yeah.
I just can't run, kind of deal." So that being vulnerable thing is here. It's okay. People understand that's part of it. But it's that first, like, after I get people to come into my foundation, my fundamentals classes, it's those first 3 months that are very critical. It's like, I'm only going to keep them if they can understand and let go of their ego and be like, hey, I'm gonna fail here. These people are a lot stronger than me. These people are a lot faster than me. These people are better than me. That's okay.
Yeah.
And just understanding that they all came from somewhere. And so like me picking up fly fishing with you and Zach was a riot, because for me, it was like, oh yeah, I've never done this before. And I remember going fishing with you guys, and none of you guys were backcasting. I was like, this is the time to backcast, show off what I learned. And I showed off, and it got stuck in the trees behind me. Like seven casts in a row. I was like, all right, Jeff, what kind of cast are you doing over there, man?
Yeah. That's the benefit, if you can see the benefit. Sometimes you just see the pain of the right now. And I just wish it would work, and there's that bridge, and it's difficult to fail for a long period of time. Like for steelhead fishing, that's the hardest thing to start off with, because that's one of the most elusive fish. If you're starting off catching, stock trout in California, it's pretty easy. It's not, if you're naturally strong, whatever, you go to a CrossFit gym, whatever, I can lift weights, it's fine. But yeah, you're going to be terrible for a while. But loving the process is something that's so huge. And having an early start helps too. You started the gym. At a pretty young age, and I kind of stayed, with fishing outdoors for most of that, but it can be more difficult or do you see that it's more difficult for people who are 30, 35 that are just starting things out, 40, whatever, that it's been missing for a while and they're trying to get back into it, or?
No, it doesn't really matter about the age. I don't see it with age. I see it more so, like I said, prior, like letting go of that ego. So like first three months are very critical. It's like being open to new things. And if the person's a little bit more open to one, just listen to me and just trusting me, and then me also giving them their trust, or giving him my trust, they progress faster and they tend to stick with it. But no, not necessarily with age. It's more like I said, it's more so with that just open-mindedness. No, maybe guys.
Yeah.
I have a lot more women in here. More women are open to everything I say and everything we do. Everything we do in here. One of the guys that just pops into my head he's 63. I think he's 63. But I feel like there would be like a lot of pushback. But he's just so open. He's like, man, I wish I was doing this when I was 20. He just had open heart surgery, I think, 4 years ago. So he's walking. He's like, yeah, 4 years ago I was getting ready. I was in the ER. And I was like, now it's like 4 years. He's like, man, I wish I was doing this prior. I'm in the best shape of my life. So it's awesome to see. And that now, I also think about also type A personalities. Those guys are hard. Yeah, they're hard. Because I'm not saying I'm purely type A, but I like to be masculine, and I am the man sometimes. So when I'm coaching those people, those can be hard at times. Yeah, because it's either my way or his way, and we have a hard time compromising sometimes. And that's kind of one thing I'm working on right now too, is just compromising with my clientele and my athletes, and hey, I'll listen to you, I think, a little bit, maybe.
Well, that's we've seen it with, we've been hunting a couple times on that elk hunt that we went on in Edelin. All three of us were overwhelmed simultaneously. Yeah. So I think we all kind of had that sort of, oh man, and you guys were there to pack an elk if I would have happened to accidentally kill one. And so you're kind of following my lead, and I'm like, whoa, this is different, because I'm new at this too, so we're all kind of learning together, but it's cool to have the people who go on the journey together. Yeah, so getting people connected to that community, so where they don't just show up to the class and then they lift. How important is selling them on the entire community, what you provide as a gym community? How important is that to get people locked in so they're going to stay and they're going to have better results?
That's huge. That's kind of the driving force behind this. CrossFit's great because of the community aspect. It's like you're never doing this by yourself. I'm going to go back to this 3 months being critical. It's not just them understanding that they have to be vulnerable here and be okay to fail and just be okay not to be okay to mess up. But those 3 months are also critical in terms of getting them sold on the members here, the community, the friendships they can build, right? I can only be the catalyst. I can only do so much of, hey, new person, meet Jeff. Jeff, this is a new person, right? And so
icebreakers.
I can only do so much of that. It's going to be on. I'm not going to put it on the gym or the members of the gym, but it's also the new person putting themselves out there and being, hey, I like you. I want to be friends with you.
Yeah.
And not be like, hey, I'm here to work out by myself. I'm going to put my headphones on and I'm just going to sit in the corner. Because that's a typical Globo gym. That's not where people are here. People are here to work out, socialize. I mean, you hear it all the time. Like, hey, work out. Like, what? This is my social hour as well as my health and fitness. And it's like, all right, cool. So, it's huge, man. If we can get them, if they can befriend everybody in here, that typically sells them. It's like, I'm gonna work out with this person, and then the gym does it itself, man. Like the accountability of the class. Like my 4:30 class will call people out. Like, where you at? Where have you been? My 12 o'clock is ruthless. Hey, pansy. So it's fun. I don't have to do anything. There's the random group text, 12 o'clock group text, 4:30 group text. Like, where are you guys? This is not good. Where are you at? So, the members do it themselves, and that's a huge part in it, in keeping the new member involved.
There's accountability, and there's what some people would say is being overly confrontational with your accountability, to maybe even the point of like a fat shaming type thing and bullying and whatnot. How do you deal with that? How do you know like what is it individually, and then because you seem like the type of person who, and know a little bit that like if someone says, hey man, I'm telling you this, it's going to be like out of love, out of whatever can happen, you're going to take that and say, okay, I got to do this. Whereas other people are going to shut down because it's like a personal attack on me because I'm whatever. So how do you personally take criticism as, okay, this is to make me a better version of myself, and then how do you as a coach encourage people to take criticism as, again, means to make you a better version of yourself, rather than you're bullying me, you're mocking me, you're fat shaming me, you're lifting shaming me, you're fly fishing shaming me. How do you do that?
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
First, I don't like that word fat, especially in here. I'm gonna stop you there. Just because a lot of people identify themselves with that word, and it can be a very powerful word for most folks.
Which is why it's one of those semantic things where The bad thing is called fat shaming.
Yeah,
That's the worst.
for sure.
And so, so there's different degrees of your semantic use or referencing, that. But
I guess it's funny you said it because it just happened yesterday. And one of the things I'm working on is like detached caring. Like sometimes I was talking with like the CEO of the hospital, and I was having a hard time because I care so much for these people. I remember when I first started, like again, I would wake up early. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and just think about one specific member, write down what I need to work on with them, and that would happen every night. Like, God, I gotta stop thinking about these people.
Yeah,
that was my first year. Even my first 6 months was like just into the business. I loved it, and enjoyed, and I had a hard time separating myself. Yeah. And then as I get old, as time goes on, it's still not as bad, but it's still there. And one of the things he told me was, you can't care more than the member does. You can't care about their goal more than they do, and I do, right? And so one of the things I'm trying to work on is get away from the end product of their goal. So like, let's just say somebody's goal is an easy one that people can relate to. I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to lose this amount of weight, right? All right, well, I've given you the tools. Why aren't you implementing them? Kind of deal, right? And so it's not me being. I am also. Remember, guys, I'm kind of young. World, hello world. I'm kind of young and I'm kind of naive and dumb at times, but I let my emotions get the best of me when that happens. So it's like I care for these people so much, and it's like I've given you the tools. Why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you taking care of it? Because I can only control 1 hour of your day, unless I'm, the only hour they're here. That's a tough one, man. Because it's how do you get away from caring and not caring so much, right? And so I'm still working on that. Getting better at it, but I have to. I kind of play that bad role and just not really be mean about it, but I let them know like this is what's happening. This is the truth. This is it. This is what I see. This is what the scale or the measurements or like your health markers see, right? I don't like to put it just on the weight and the measurements, but like. Here, you're pre-diabetic. That should be enough information for yourself. Like let's make the change. Let's do that. So I'm still working on that, getting better at that. But it's hard because I care so much about these people. Yeah. Like to me, their family it's too fun, and got to get better at that.
Yeah, well, that's one of the hardest things is. It's easy for us as humans to see the flaws in other people, like, hey, your relationship this is not healthy, this is not safe, this is not good, you deserve better than this as a human being. It's so much easier for us to see that in other people and then not see it in ourselves. Yeah. Like, this is not, oh, no, it's different for me, and so it can be difficult to hear that from someone else because we know that. Or people who are trying to hold other people accountable use not to be mean, but as just an excuse to be mean. Yeah. Like, oh, you're not, just telling it like it is. You're just using that as an excuse to be a jerk. Yeah. So being a voice, being someone who understands that, hey, I'm saying this out of love. I'm not doing it to be mean, right? And this is something that I see. And some people don't say anything to anybody else about those bad things, and they don't know. It's never been brought to their attention. Like you said, with, the health type stuff, it's terrifying. The more you listen, the more you read about the health, the costs, the pharmaceutical companies and everybody treating the symptoms of things rather than the cause. No. Just eat and work out. That would solve so much. So much. How much, I asked this to Amanda too, but how much control do we have over our health when it comes to how we feel day in, day out and preventing illness? How much of that is in our control?
Percentage-wise, probably like 76.2%. I mean, we have a lot of control. I don't want to say we have a lot of control, but we can control a lot of it, right? But there's a lot of factors that go into that. But yeah, you're right. If we can keep an active, healthy lifestyle, eat nutrient-dense foods, and not overeat the bad stuff, life's easy, right? Like I wrote it on my board. It's very simple. Someone was like, "What kind of diet should I follow?" I was like, man, it's your first day here. you're going to have a hard time just remembering all these movements we're doing. You're going to have a
Yeah.
hard time just coming in and date regularly.
Yeah.
Let's not focus on that diet yet. He's like, but I just want to start. I was like, all right, man. So I wrote it up there. It's very simple. It's like, it's hydrate. Drink water.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us don't drink enough water. Second, get your protein in. Meats, but if you're vegan, whatever protein you can eat.
Yeah.
Vegetables, nobody's gonna tell you no vegetables. If they do, there's a red flag there, right?
Weird, yeah.
So vegetables, some fruit, some nuts, some seeds. How much? Less than your vegetables. Eat more vegetables than any of that. Little starches, no sugar. Very simple plan. Very simple detail. It's not in detail, but it's very simple if you can remember that. But there's also there's a hard aspect for people who have a kind of a bad relationship with food. You know, it's like, that's when it's hard to control. That's when it's not us. But those are like underlying causes that people should look into.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I can help you there, but that would help most folks. Just a simple diet, man. Simple diet changes. You don't even have to exercise. Mm-hmm. Go walk 10 minutes. Go walk 20 minutes. Go get off a chair. Yeah. Go put a TV in front of your treadmill and watch your football game.
Yeah.
After drinking a beer or something. You know? But post-workout beer. I'm just kidding.
Like in those commercials, right? You know, the Michelob Ultra is like the workout beer. Whatever.
That's funny.
Like, come on.
That's so funny. That's so good.
I do. Like, they do
so
get into
good.
that community. Like, be a part of these healthy, fun-loving, great people, and this is the beer.
It's so good. That's good. I like that. Marketing.
It's great
like
marketing.
Yeah.
Great marketing for sure. You mentioned about fitness a lot, and we've kind of talked about the health. What about the overall wellness, right? So if someone is eating better, eating well enough, and people who are pretty active or pretty strong, what about the wellness thing? Because that doesn't necessarily touch your soul. How do you encapsulate the entire wellness? Chewy talked about just finding that depth where you feel good, like you're physically fit, but also intellectually, and also like you're happy, like you found a place of contentment. Not that you're not going to move anymore, but life is astonishing again. Life isn't something that's just you have to get through. Like you enjoy each day. How do you approach the wellness of the entire person?
I think it's all encompassing. It doesn't matter where you start, right? It doesn't matter, like, maybe you start here in the meditation phase, and then it's like, oh, I want to eat better. Okay, to eat better is this is how I eat. And then it's exercise is the next thing. It doesn't matter where you start. You can start exercise. You can start in anywhere.
What about you? Like, what's been good for you? Like, you were out of Ketchikan, and you came back, right? And so
I had a really hard time.
Yeah, how do you adjust to, because it's dark right now, it's cold right now, it's going to be like, but how do you keep yourself from being, well, it's dark and cold, which is an excuse for me to be miserable for the winter months? Like, there has to be some sort of soul type health, otherwise you're going to be miserable.
It's so funny because that was when I moved back here. That was kind of happening to me. I was kind of in a depressed state. But the answer's so simple, man. It was easy for me. I didn't want to feel bad anymore. I didn't want to feel angry.
That's the key to life.
I didn't want to be sad. I didn't want those things anymore. And so for me, it was just a simple answer. Like, how do I get better at being happy? And that was it. Mm-hmm. It was like, so it was like one foot over the next foot, right? Is that what it is?
1 foot in front of the other?
One foot in front of the other one. There you go.
Yeah.
And it was simple. It's like, man, I don't want to be angry at the entire world and myself. Where do I start? So for me, it wasn't even starting with exercise. I've always exercised. I've always played some part in the fitness role or fitness world, running. I played sports growing up, so that was always a part of me. I've never found it as meditation. I always thought of it as like, all right, I got an hour of not thinking kind of deal, right? Or 2 hours of not thinking. And so when I moved back to you, like you said, the seasonal effect was the sad seasonal effect of disorder. Yeah, that was affecting me. And again, I was just tired of being so angry at myself and everybody. It was too draining. So, like I said, it was easy for me because I'm done with this. I want something new. I want to be happy. So the first thing I practiced was just I was looking into this stuff, was breathing. Like, oh, when you get angry, count to 10 count to 10 breaths. I was like, this is such... This is crap. This is a bunch of crap. And I did it. I was like, oh, why am I mad again? Oh, wow. Look into that. Look into breathing. So I started doing like meditation, tried doing yoga. Yoga at the time wasn't for me. I wasn't doing CrossFit at the time. I was just working out, and then I started doing CrossFit, and I don't know if you've tried CrossFit. You have. I remember you trying CrossFit.
Yeah.
Breathing is a big part of CrossFit.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, how do I not suck at this?
Yeah.
Breathe. Okay, now I'm in a different type of fitness endeavor. I'm learning how to breathe. I am telling myself these positive affirmations. Food. How do I recover better? Oh, okay, food. Now it's food. Let's eat better. Okay. Yeah. And those I revisit those things daily. You know, it's like I revisit like how am I feeling mentally? How am I feeling physically? What can I do to change that? Mm-hmm. Do I need to exercise more? Do I need to relax and recover more? Do I need to eat better food? Do I need just to love myself more? Mm-hmm. And I think that for me that was the biggest one, was that loving myself. I grew up pretty angry, and not to go too in detail into depth. The easiest fix was just looking in the mirror and being like, "I love you, man." I was I'd crack up. I would die.
Little Stuart Smalley.
Oh man, I would die though. I would laugh, and it was like, what am I doing? Yeah. And I would just do it every day. I made it a practice, and I did it every day. And it was like, and you started believing it. It's like, oh wow, this guy is pretty cool. Yeah. You're pretty cool in front of the mirror, man.
It's giving yourself the control rather than other circumstances. Yeah. You know, it's not up to when kids ask about what college they want to go to or this or that. Like, how do I decide? Like, well, it doesn't matter where you go, that you are going to be there. Yeah. It's not the college's responsibility to be fun for you. It's not the gym's responsibility to be fun. It's not Ketchikan. It's not everybody else's or everything's responsibility to be good to you. It's the approach that you have with it. And when you give yourself the power, like I have a lot of power, I have a lot of control over how I feel each day. It's empowering.
It's empowering. It really is. It really is.
Yeah, it's a subtle little mind change, but it makes all the difference. Like you said, just you don't have to do everything at once. So I'm going to do a 180. Yeah. It's just I'm going to care about what I eat. Yeah. Pay a little bit more attention to it.
It's huge. It'll go a long way. Yeah. Do I revisit those things a lot, all the time? I mean, I do. I always, daily, almost. Yeah. You know, it's about 5 years ago. That's when I made the switch, and that's when I wanted to switch, and I feel so much better. Mm-hmm. I'm happy. Happy.
When I did some marathons when I was in California, that was kind of the thing. I got a little bit away from the outdoors, but running outdoors was fine. Breathing, fun. That was kind of a cool community, but it wasn't really. I didn't feel really good about it. It was like cool for what it was, but it wasn't like the thing. You talked about yoga not necessarily being your thing at that point, so I kind of grew out of the running thing. But yeah, finding new things is really important too. So you don't have that stagnancy.
No.
Different goals, different something else to work for, and not just be at. It's not just about the end goal. It's about enjoying that process and getting that to be a habit. I found that was something, especially back here. Like, what's the new thing I can work on?
Yeah.
Like, what's the new thing that I can do that I'm excited about? To prevent staleness, to prevent whatever that I can get excited about. And that's, I think, a big part about being Alaskan is those sort of things. It offers a lot, but again, you have to do it.
You have to go find that stuff, especially these dark months.
Yeah.
You don't have to necessarily be the straight up Alaskan going outdoors and stuff, but just to find something to keep you busy, keep yourself entertained. That's super important.
Yeah. There's a lot of different people do a lot of different things.
Huge.
Like during the summer, like pretty much everybody's outside. During the winter, it's like outside when you can. Some people, I'm driving to school in the morning, and I see people jogging in the morning by headlamp. Cool, right? But there's always stuff to do.
Yeah, for sure. Recently, this past weekend was like the Winter Arts Fair. And I walked around there, I was like, there's a lot of people in Ketchikan who are very creative.
Doing a lot of stuff.
Doing a lot of stuff.
Producing, rather than just consuming.
Producing.
Yeah. Speaking of consumption, were you going to finish?
I was just going to say trying to get rid of stuff that they don't want in their house anymore.
True, yeah.
Great stuff, though.
Yeah, the idea of you consume things in order to produce, right? What types of things do you consume, and what impact does that have on you? I wake up in the morning, and it used to be ESPN, so it used to be arguing about sports, whatever. Now it's a podcast. Now it's something that's like intellectually stimulating, and so that I feel that what I end up producing either through writing or podcast or whatever, even work at school, like the stuff that I'm saying is more intellectual. It's more like dialed in. How important is that intellectual piece about what you consume so that you can produce better, and what types of stuff are you reading, listening to, doing that?
Huge. It's just constantly growing, constantly learning, right? Constantly evolving. Especially in the fitness world, it's like this. They're basically like debunking things that have studies from the 80s and the 90s, and even like 5 years ago, like that's not true anymore, guys. Mm-hmm. You can have fat. You can have egg yolk. It's okay. Sorry, you vegans, but you can have egg yolks if it sits well in your stomach. It's okay. Mm-hmm. So just constantly learning about those things. I think as a coach, I need to stay up to date with those things. So I listen to a lot of fitness podcasts, but I like to listen just to random podcasts, like fun podcasts. I'm a big one right now. I think the biggest one, I'm not saying everybody, but Joe Rogan. Yeah. He's a fun one to listen to. Just rambles about stuff. Fun stuff, but it's great stuff.
It makes you think about it, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Some people just don't think. They're told stuff all day. They ingest stuff, but they don't like go down that road and consume. Some of the stuff is really crazy, but you can't help but turn the brain on.
No,
think.
For sure. Yeah. But you're engaged. You're stimulated. You're not like, okay, that's the score was 1 and 2. What am I going to use with the Dodger score, right? So I don't have TV anymore. I don't have cable television, and that's been a huge part of it. I don't miss anything. I don't really care. I mean, there's games I want to watch here and there. Yeah. Other than that, I don't really miss the cable. Mm-hmm. Some of the things I'm reading, though, are really funny. Like, I've been reading a lot of self-help books. I like calling it self-help books, but a lot of relationship books. Regular bench. A lot of relationship books. Just, I don't want to just be a great coach, good coach. I want to be good at relationships. Yeah. Not just with my partner, my significant other, but with people. Yeah. I think we started the podcast with you tricked me into talking.
Getting over your fear.
Getting over my fear. Yeah. Like fitness, I can talk about all day. Uh-huh. I can talk about exercise. I can talk about eating and programming. I can talk about stuff all day. That stuff's really fun to me. But once we start getting outside of that stuff, some things that I'm just not comfortable talking about, or I just don't know anything about it, I'm just like, I'll listen, and I'm very quiet, and I'm very introvert that way. But I just want to be able to communicate with people, communicate my feelings better, and not projecting myself in like in a hostile way, or somebody might take it as a hostile. Or hostile, or hostility.
Yeah, it seems like it's more like I hate self-help books. It's like here, 10 steps to a better you.
Yeah.
But it's more like the educational sociology or like a communication type class where you understand those sort of things, right?
Sure.
Like I'm going to follow these steps. It's understand interactions, and I love those books too. Yeah. And a lot of times they're listed underneath in the self-help section, where it's like, no, this is different.
I don't need this.
I don't.
I'm okay.
I don't have a problem.
My life is okay. I'm fine. No, they're good. They're good. There's good tools, make you think, put you in check. It's like, what am I doing as a human being? How can I be a better human being to everybody else? And I think that's kind of like what I strive for now. Just how can I be a really good person to everybody I come in contact with?
Because you can choose that again. Like, well, I don't know why people choose to be miserable. They like just go out of their way to, hey, here's something wrong, here's something bad, and then complain about it to get attention. Like, why don't you just get attention for being a great person? And you don't have to promote and say, hey, look at this great thing that I did. Yeah. But just the interaction. And they talk about, some people get so fired up about national politics and this and that, and how can you not watch the news or read about this is a huge social issue, this is that. Well, what can I impact every single day? I can impact how I interact with the people I do. Sure. Like that is how I can do this. That's how I can address these sort of issues. If I treat people well where I am, that's going to do a lot more than me posting or reposting articles about some sort of injustice in Missouri.
Yeah, that's
it's action. That is action. Posting, tweeting, retweeting. That's not action.
You're not making any kind of contribution to society that way.
Yeah, and that's being around people too.
Yeah,
and that's say the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most, and if you're around those sorts of people, then it's going to be impactful. Other people that want to be better, people that want to walk in the ocean. And that's great stuff.
And
You gotta have it.
and you, I mean, I it happens here all the time, but I assume you as well with having multiple classes, multiple students, and even your colleagues around you. Some of the words they say, they don't even know that they're saying it. But a lot of the vocabulary, a lot of what's coming out of their mouths are very negative self-talk, or I can't believe this person is doing this, or I can't do that. I'm having a hard time doing this. It's so rainy out. Why is it so dark out? It's like, hey,
You can't control any of those things.
you are looking at everything in a negative light. It's like, well, hey, he's trying his best. He's looking good. Or, hey, it's another day.
Yeah.
You know, it's another day.
Yeah.
Not like, oh man, it's so crappy outside. I can't do anything. I was like, hey, you can actually. You can go out there and go hiking.
Yeah.
My girlfriend does it all the time. Every morning, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, goes out for a hike.
Yeah.
I was like, good for you.
Yeah.
You know, like awesome.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse.
Yeah.
But again, people don't even understand that. It's like I even took a course that was 28 days of just focusing on your language. It was like, how am I talking to myself? How am I talking in the workspace? How am I talking at the house?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, make sure you're not talking negatively. Make sure you're avoiding these words that disempower you and put you down. You know, that's a big one, man. But you see it at all with your students. You kind of see what students kind of rise at the top because they're so positive. It's like, hey, life is cool.
Yeah. You see all aspects of it, and that's kind of the training yourself early on. You know, because you're very young and you got all this going. I stayed in pretty good shape, and so my starting point wasn't real low, and I always felt pretty good. I always felt pretty happy. There are times when I felt less happy than I do now, but
that's everybody, right?
Finding ways to, like, words that, like you said, disempower you versus words that are like motivating. Like, just asking the question, okay, what kind of man am I?
Yeah.
You're like, what am I doing? And what kind of man am I? Like, and then, okay, is this action in? And you're never going to be perfect. There are going to be things you're going to do that you're going to fall short without question. But
Sure.
Asking that question, okay, this is more a motivational type thing rather than you're worthless, you suck, you're this or that. And those negative things that just bring you down. It's not the challenging, hey, let's go, self.
Yeah.
But huge. It's unbelievable how important those things are. And these aren't huge things. I don't think that there are people who would be disqualified from this. Pre-existing conditions, genetics, those sort of things can play into absolutely people's cognitive abilities, physical abilities, health, absolutely, without question. But I think there's a lot of people who almost volunteer for those categories when not. The podcast is called The Mediocre Alaskan. I'm kind of embracing that sort of, hey, we all suck at things at the beginning. Like, it's going to be difficult, but that doesn't mean that you should make an excuse where I'm not this type of person.
Yeah.
No, like, you can be. You don't have to be number one. You don't have to be The Rock. You're not going to be, Brooke Wells.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be those people.
That's fine.
But yeah,
Don't.
It's fine. Max out what you got.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's important.
You think,
especially in a place like Ketchikan.
You think people are born with it, or I think you said it earlier, they develop it at any age. I mean, you can see it.
That's such I took anthropology class in college, and it was funny because I just ran across the notes. And you're talking about all these philosophers that talk about, your cognitive development and the nature versus nurture, and some philosophers theorize that you're a total product of your upbringing and total product of your culture. And so that might lead people to believe that day one of birth, everyone has the same amount of potential as far as being happy, being positive, being successful within their own realm. And other people say, there's some sort of genetic whatever. But then there's always those outliers where mom wasn't super bright, dad isn't super bright, but the kid just crushes it. Or why does one kid who has no support at home absolutely succeed and another one doesn't? Why does a kid who has all the needs met at home but then doesn't do well in school? And then that it's fascinating and tragic, but it's hard. It's hard to say yes or no, you're born with it or you're not. I think the attitude that people have to have is that yeah, it's in me at some level.
Always.
Like, I can do this. I'm not going to be maxed out as, I'm not going to be comparable to this, but if I max out what I have, or at least do close, I think the idea of maxing out, I don't even think we know it. As a basketball coach, like when people are sprinting, I think as soon as it feels tough, it's probably like a 50 or 60.
Sure. Oh man, yeah.
Which is, it's better than, quitting. But yeah, I don't think we ever know totally what we're capable of. The people who totally maximize themselves are dealing with the best in the world, but looking for that extra half second, like the Olympic swimmers. It's like training. Like everything is totally calculated down to everything.
Diet, to sleep, it's huge.
All that for half a second. Whereas the vast majority of the population just, hey, you know what? Be around good people. Take care of your body through what you eat, exercise, and you don't have to be sad. You don't have to be depressed.
No.
For a lot of people, I think that's a choice.
I think you can definitely train yourself out of it. I think you can.
Even if you don't think you can, trick yourself and lie to yourself.
Lie to yourself.
Yes, I can do this.
But you can.
I can do this.
Definitely can. You can get stronger. You can get better at that. It's a skill. I think it's a tool. I think it's a great tool. I think it's a necessity to grow. I mean, or you're always going to be entrapped in that place where you started to fall back on and be like, I can't do anything, or I'm not good enough. I am so scared that I'm not doing that. And so, I'm around you guys. I'm around you guys. And you guys are my closest friend, and it's you guys always fear. Kev, you have a fear of speaking. It's like, all right, I finally agreed to doing this podcast, man. And it's
all it took was a little trick at the beginning.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm not gonna die because of this.
Yeah.
This one is just gonna make me better.
Yeah.
So just kind of taking those fears head on. It's like, it's such a fun thing. It's so powerful that it got me out of my slump. Where it's like, if I just say these 3 words, I love you, Kev.
Yeah.
You can take a Kev out and put your own name in there, and it'll be amazing.
Insert name here.
Insert name, yeah. And it's so strong. You can do anything. You really can. You might fail at some things, but you tried it and you did it at the moment. But I guess the question I was asking was the mental toughness part. Do you think people can have that, like a certain amount, or they train that, they practice that?
I think it has to be conditioned at some point. It has to be reinforced. But I think until we're in that situation, like there's a difference between like out of necessity, the people that guy who got his arm pinned and cut his arm off, versus the person who's like trained in a lot of stuff who just goes into shock up on the mountain and freaks out, whatever. So I think there's that sort of, I did not know this was within me. The first responder hero, the Good Samaritan type person who just jumps in and does something amazingly heroic, who says, "Oh, anybody would have done that." Well, no, that's like the instinct type level. I think the other type of things are things that can be trained. But it's just realizing those situations. Just like any sort of character trait, you want to be a good person, you're going to give opportunities to be a good person. And if you take advantage of those, you train yourself to take advantage of those, I think you become a good person. Same thing with mental toughness. Like, okay, this is a tall mountain, this is going to suck. But you get through it, you get up it, you're like, hey, here we go, got it. Next time, a little bit better. Like to attack, to challenge, to follow through with that. Otherwise, you're practicing not doing that. And so you might be mistaking a lack of mental toughness for just a habit of not following through. But it's so, I don't know. Yeah. It's easy for me to say that because I've, you're I don't know. I don't know. What do you think about that? I mean, we started the business Live Mentally Tough because it's a rallying cry and a lot of people like it and a lot of people love it. So yeah, dude,
I think I watch people day in, day out exercise. I watch them break through these plateaus, but most of everybody I get here somewhat have some drive in them already, right?
Or it could be desperation. Like some people show up and they do stuff because doctor said it's
I have to. Yeah. So
we are.
But that's still, I mean, just for them to get out of the car into the doors,
Master the art of showing up.
Yeah.
Is James Clear.
But there's two people at the top of my head that just kind of come out as one, Bo, and then I got a buddy, Nick, who's a state champion wrestler. And you just talk to these guys, and it's like there's no can't in their vocabulary. It's like watching him work. Bo was getting ready for regional 2013. This was back. I was a year into the gym, not even a year, dude, like 6 months. And he was getting ready for regionals. He was working out on a Sunday. On that Saturday night, we had a gathering. So there's a bunch of beer cans everywhere. And Bo likes drinking beer, right? He didn't drink a beer. He's in here, no music going. He didn't know how to turn this thing on. Crushing 3 of the regional workouts. I just walk in there. He's in the middle of it by himself. Nothing, no music on. Solid score. It's like, oh, let's compare it to the regional. Superb score. It's like, where does that come from?
Mm-hmm.
He just, what? I want to do good. Like, where does that come from? I was like, I just want to do good.
Mm-hmm.
And my other buddy Nick is like, he's more like, I want to be the macho man kind of guy, fun guy. Nick, hi to you. But but like same thing, He has, we always make fun of him. We call him, he has little man syndrome. Like he's 5'5", and he thinks he's the biggest, baddest, strongest dude in the world. It's like, you're not. He's like, I am. Watch this. I'm like, dude, you're not. No, I am. And he fails and he fails and he fails. He's like, no, I'm still the baddest dude in the world. And I wasn't like that. I had a lot of drive in me, and I had a lot of work ethic. I wanted to work hard. I'm also a people pleaser, so I wanted to please my coaches. But I remember my senior year waking up at like 6:30 just to go run stairs. So at least I knew I was going to play. Mm-hmm. Like, you see me here, I'm playing. Make sure I play because I'm running my ass off and no one else is.
Yeah.
But I never had like that mental toughness like I see in Bo and Nick. So it was something I had to work on. Mm-hmm. But again, it started with that self-talk. But my self-talk is pretty funny. It's like, are you a religious guy?
Yeah.
So I found my religion pretty strong again. And anyways, when I work out, sometimes it's like, that's what I work out for.
Yeah.
Right? But you hear it with all these CrossFitters, like, I do it for the Lord, I do it for God, I do it for this. In my head, I just have it's him, his voice, or my mom's voice cheering me on during a simple workout. Or getting ready for a court date, or something crazy. It's like, it's my mom, or God's voice, like, you got this, Kev, and that third person, and I think you can train yourself to have, man, what's that word when you like more resiliency, and not necessarily be the most mentally toughest, strongest person in the world, but it's like you said, you can trick yourself into that stuff, right? And it eventually becomes you. And so I think that was that was what happened to me, is that it eventually just became a part of my life, where it's like, oh, I truly believe that I'm just as strong as these guys. I am just as I'm better than these guys.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be the best version of myself, which is better than these guys.
Yeah.
Right. Not necessarily. I'm not trying to compare, but just that's the thing. Is like getting away from comparing to them, and eventually just being the best version of myself, and then just being happy with that. Yeah. Even if I fall short. Your
individual style within that. Because there are characters like you're outgoing, you're not outgoing, you're shy or whatever, but you can still crush it. And I think you said religion, and some people don't like religion because it's like a subscription to a set of rules, like a self-help book, like the genie god or whatever. But kind of having that relationship with it. It's like, hey,
with the higher power.
I was like, hey, this is a real thing. And so if I've been put on this earth for specific things, if I've been, everything about me is on purpose, then I'm going to purposefully pursue what I can to max that out and do the best there. But it's so weird, so if someone like Bo is that driven right now, was it just a systematic, like, since birth, just reinforcing that? Or was he just born destined to do that?
And no,
it's your NFL football players, basketball players, those people, they're athletically gifted too. But when it comes down to some of the other skills, like the people who are like a Kobe Bryant who's just so driven. Michael Jordan's so driven. Like, was that just reinforced throughout? Was like he based his same day one as everybody else, or the people who are as athletically gifted as him? Was it day one same, and then he just reinforced the right stuff accidentally or intentionally, or was he destined to do that? It's hard to tell.
That's actually when I stopped watching cable TV when Kobe Bryant retired.
Oh, was that?
Yeah.
That was your retirement. Yeah. Well, you got a champion lifter here, about ready to. So you got some. Give me some closing thoughts here. We'll tie this up.
About Diana,
yeah. The stud.
Oh man, it's fun. It's fun. I love watching those guys work out. I like watching them train. You said it multiple times, like just the process. And the process is so fun to watch. I don't attach myself to any of their success. I think it's truly theirs. I just watch, and I'm the catalyst of just a lot of screaming, and I'm about and putting my one finger up, not the middle finger, the number one finger. No man, it's truly remarkable. It's fun to watch. Like good for them. They deserve it. They put so much work in day out, and dealing with me or not dealing with me at times. With my athletes, I'm not one to praise them. Like, great job, you're doing a great job. It's awesome, good for you. I'm more so like, hey, you could have done this better. I'm not like that with my clientele. The members who come in here, like, hey, great job, you're doing a great job. And I truly mean it when I say great job. I'm not just saying it for funsies. Because they are doing a good job. But with the members, or with the competitors, or the people who want to compete, they don't need me to cheer them on. They need me to see what they're doing wrong or what they can do better, right? So I've never been really like, great job, you're doing so good, Diana. I'm so proud of you. You got it tomorrow. That's. They can do that themselves. Yeah, they need the structure. They can do that themselves. They can learn how to be mentally tough themselves and mentally cheer themselves on. No man, closing thoughts. This was a little easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, dude, we're at, I don't know how many minutes this is, but this is good, like 30, 45 minutes.
I'm gonna go home and think about what I said.
And then try to edit. That's the nice thing about the podcast is what you said is what you said. And you can go back and listen to it and you'd be like, oh man, well, there you go. But, yeah. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for taking the time here. Thanks for being patient, Diana. Get your workout on there. You're next. We're next week at some point. We'll get you rambling there. Make sure you go to themediocrealaskan.com. You can check out Ketchikan CrossFit if you're in the Ketchikan area, or if you're planning a trip to Ketchikan. Kevin enjoys drop-ins.
Yeah. Instagram me.
Come by the gym. Go to KB. Why don't you give your plug for your Instagram and your
slide into the Ketchikan CrossFit DMs. We're at Ketchikan CrossFit on Instagram and Facebook. And then my personal one is KB Manabat, Manabat. And then also the LMT Lifestyle.
LMTLifestyle.com. You got the comfort gear that will make sure it's with you for whatever workout you have, or hunting, fishing, hiking, whatever. All right. Thanks, man.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.